Hi everybody, so in this video I'm going to show you how you can install the Community Online Tools in conjunction with the Community Framework mod so that you can have some really powerful tools to play around with DayZ on your local PC DayZ server. So this is the server you run on your local computer for playing single player DayZ or for testing mods before you upload them to your live server. Very powerful tool for learning about the DayZ servers, how they work, how mods work, how they all kind of fit together in a way where you can really change things quickly and efficiently and learn about it, rather than having to go through the long-winded process of installing stuff on a live server out on the cloud somewhere, where sometimes it can be difficult to fault find and find out what's going on. So if you haven't already and you own DayZ, you can install the DayZ server. I'm kind of assuming you've already done that, but if you haven't, it's in your library. And then you want to go to the workshop, if you haven't already, and you'll want to find DayZ, and you'll want to find Community Online Tools, like so. There it is. It says Community Online Tools, and the Community Online Tools requires the Community Framework mod. So go into that one, subscribe to that one, subscribe to the Community Online Tools as well. They'll start downloading to your local computer, and all the instructions to do it, they're actually here down below, and it is one of the simpler mods to install. The problem with installing mods is that if you get something wrong, it doesn't work, obviously, and it can be quite tricky to find stuff. So if something does go wrong, it doesn't work, often the easier thing is just to start again and slowly go through it. Okay, so if we look at our local computer now, there's my nice fresh version of the DayZ server ready to go. So what we want to do now is we want to find out where the mods have downloaded, and we want to copy them over here. So I've just opened up another window in File Explorer, and it just so happens on this PC where they're stored is on the C drive. So if you go into your C drive, if that's where you install programs, and what you're looking for, it may be within users or something, is program files x86, Steam apps, common, and you want to go into DayZ, and then you want to go into this folder here that says Workshop. And these are all the mods that you subscribe to, and then so you want to control left click CF and Community Online Tools, then you want to right click copy, then we want to go back to our local server. We just want to paste them in like so. They're both pasted there. Now the next thing we need to do is to make sure we have the keys for these mods in the keys folder for our local server. So if we go into Community Framework, go into Keys, Jacob Mango by key, copy that, come back up, go into Keys here, paste that here. Oh, it's already there. You can tell I've done this already. Okay, so there we go. So that's there. Now, funnily enough, the keys for Community Online Tools is the same. Jacob Mango by key. Let's make sure I didn't rename that or anything. No, it's still there. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we need to make this server so it's ready to start. And there's a few things we've got to do first. We're going to need a batch file, and we're going to need a config file as well. So the batch file is simply a way of instructing the server to start with certain parameters. So for example, in this case, we want the DayZ server to start with the Community Framework mod running and the Community Online Tools running. And the way that you would do that at the command line is you would type something like run DayZ server _ x64, and then you would put with this mod and with this mod. So it'd be quite a complicated and boring thing to have to keep writing. So that's where batch files come in. Now, in the description below the video, you'll see a link to my GitHub where I've got an example batch file that you'll be able to use. So if you go there and then you just copy all of the text, and then open up your favorite text editor, Notepad++ is free and it's very good, and paste it all in there. And then what you want to do is you want to go File, Save As, and you want to go to your server, and you want to save it as a, say, I don't know, you could save it as, say, start in quotation marks or in inverted commas start.bat. So it's a batch file, like so, start.bat. And that will then, they'll then become color coded. And then starting at the top, you've got the set server name, so SSG test server. Now this is quite important here. This is the location that the server is in. Program files, x86 themes, theme apps, common DayZ server. So that's correct from what I'm doing. However, that might be different for your file. So what you do, if you go into this folder here, so the folder that your server is in, go into the server and then click in the address line up here at the top, and that will give you the absolute address, which you can then right click copy, go into the batch file, and then you can then paste that over the top of there. Also, there may well be situations like this where you want to have a number of servers available to you on your local PC running different versions of DayZ. So DayZ Server, DayZ Server Chernarus, DayZ Server Namalsk. Now you can actually do all these within the same folder, but I find for clarity's sake, and because hard drives are so big and the DayZ server doesn't take up much room, sometimes you just want to do that with different versions. You might have a Livonia one, you might have a Deer Isle one, and it's easier to keep them in separate folders for editing purposes. So if we scroll down again, the bit that does all the work is this line here. And the first thing to really take note of is profiles equals config. Now that's an important little line, because what that's saying to the server is when you start up, I want you to create a folder called config. Now you can call this folder whatever you want. You could call it profiles, doesn't matter. You could call it Rambo if you wanted. But what you're telling the server is this is where I want you to store certain things, including log files, crash files, and importantly as well, information that other mods will use. Specifically, Community Online Tools uses it, and Zomberry uses it. It's a place where you put information. And then the next bit that's important is here. Mod equals CF. Oh gosh, I have to delete it. Mod equals community online. Mod equals CF community online tools. So that's a bit that's saying start the server, but start them with community framework on and community online tools on. That's what we want you to do. Okay, so we'll make sure that's saved. Let's just make sure it's there. Go into the DayZ server, start.bat. Now the next thing we need is a configuration file. So this is another way, this is another thing that the server looks at and goes, right, okay, I need to run DayZ in this particular way. So I need it to run where the time on the server is this time. People can use crosshairs, people can use mouse and keyboard. The time runs at double time, nights run at 5 times. This is the whitelist, all this sort of stuff. And I'll put a link to Bohemian Interactive's page on how you can set up a server configuration as well. But basically what you want to do is you want to open up your favorite text editor, and you just want to copy all of the, if I can do it right, come on, there we go, copy all of that, and then you want to paste it into a text file, and then change the name at the top, and then you want to make sure down the bottom where it says template equals DayZ offline.Chernarus plus. If you're using Chernarus, you might be using Enoch, you might be using Livonia, whichever mission you're running with, that goes in there. And you want to save that as server dz.config. So I go file, save as, go into the server. Let's just put inverted commas around that so it does it properly. So it's server capital D capital Z dot config. Don't know why it won't let me do that. Tell you what, let's just save it as file, save, file, save as. Right, let's do it again. It already exists, right? Cool, that's good. That won't happen on your one. But if we then go into the folder, we can see we've got server dz.config. So now we've got everything we need to make the server start. So what we want to do now is we just simply want to start the server because it needs to create that config folder. And what will happen as well is within that config folder, Community Online Tools will create a couple of folders as well. So we just double click on start and it'll start firing up. And this is the important window here that opens up. This is the matrix, but this is your server, what it's doing, and it's telling you, it's talking as it's going along. It's really cool watching this. If you wonder why it stops, it's because servers don't run when people aren't on them unless you change some settings in the globals.xml in the DB folder. Right, so there you go. So it's chundering along, it's doing what it does. We can actually minimize that now. And if we go over here, we'll see that config folder has appeared. And if we go into the config folder, the permissions framework folder has appeared. All these other stuff as well. And then you've got the players one has appeared as well. Now that's important because if we go back to Steam and we go back to the Community Online Tools page, if you scroll down, it tells you this. It says locate the profiles folder used for the server. Now in our case it's called config. Once in that folder, enter the permissions framework folder and then to the players folder, which is what we've done there. Inside this folder, create a .json file with your GUID Steam ID. Inside of that JSON file, paste the contents of this paste bin. That's actually quite complicated, but basically if you click on that link there where it says this, you'll be taken to this page here. And what they're saying is create a folder that's got the same name as your Steam ID and then save that as a JSON file. So what you would do is open up your favorite notepad, Notepad++ in this case, and then what you do is you copy that, go to Notepad, paste it in. You see I've already done it, and then you would go File, Save As. You go into your folder, where your thing is, and you would enter the name as your Steam ID, whatever that is, .json, like that. Put inverted commas at the front and the back, quotation marks. You would save that. Now, to find your Steam ID, what I'll do is I'll put a Spaggy on his website. It's done a really cool way. It tells you how to do it. It's a 17-digit number. And I'll put a link to that in the description down below. But if we go and have a look, where were we? File, save as. Where were we? I've saved it in the wrong place. If we want to save it in config, permissions framework, players. There we go. And then if we go in and have a look at it, we see we've now got this JSON file. Obviously yours won't be that number, it'll be whatever your Steam ID is. And what that file does is that Community Online Tools looks into that folder, looks at that Steam ID, matches it with your Steam ID as you've logged into DayZ and says, yep, this person is an admin. And it then gives you the admin privileges to then start the Community Online Tools, which you do by pressing, where's the controls, here we go, Y to open the toolbar menu. Insert. You press End to turn Community Online Tools on. Then you press Y to open the menu, and that's what it checks. And it checks in that folder. It checks the name of that JSON file and say, yeah, that matches your Steam ID. You can have God mode. You can teleport everywhere. You can have the free cam, and that's it. So then what you would then do, once you've done that, you want to stop your local server. And then quite simply now, you would come up and you would hit start again. Double click start. The server would restart again. It would look in that permissions framework folder and players, look at that JSON number. You would then log in with, here we go, DayZ. In fact, I'll show you this bit because if this is the first time you're doing this, you might not have done that. So you go to mods. Make sure you've loaded CF and Community Online Tools. Go to servers, go to LAN, because that's where they are. And it will appear there when you've started it. Did I start it? I can't remember now. Didn't start it, did I? Right, so that's firing up now. Let's refresh that. There we go. And so the server's there. We would click join, set up DLC mods and join, and then you would have access to Community Online Tools. Obviously, I've just put in any odd number as that JSON file, not on my Steam IDs. It doesn't work there. So there we go. And now, what we've just worked through there, how you install Community Online Tools and CF Community Framework to your local server, is that's how you do it on your remote server as well. And remember, these are always the first mod you load. So if for example you're installing DayZ expansion, that's the next thing you would do. You would then install DayZ expansion after this and have CF and Community Online Tools first. Right, so there we go. Hopefully you found that useful. If you have, hit the like button. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And I will, of course, see you again soon.